Hello again, and welcome to the Excellence Through Execution podcast. As always, I am your host, Jason Weseman, and today I am joined by Brian Rouse, owner of Bay Area Diamond Company, jewelry store with locations in Green Bay, Medford, and Mundelein, Illinois. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
You bet. I'm very excited to learn more about your business, about your jewelry stores. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do and how you got here?
Sure. So I grew up in a little town in northern Wisconsin called Niagara, Wisconsin. It's a paper mill community. My father did not allow me to work in the paper mill in the summer, like most of the high school kids did, because he didn't want me to get stuck in that town. So,
Thanks, Dad.
So I did. Being a troubled teen, I had to live with one of my military aunts for a while, she was key to getting me started in the jewelry business. She had a couple daughters that ran a chain of jewelry stores actually in Illinois area. And when I was living with her, she said, "You should be a jeweler. You should be a jeweler." Now, of course, growing up in a paper mill in northern Wisconsin, we didn't have a jewelry store. So I didn't know what any of this meant. And there was just no way in hell I was going to be a jeweler, because it just sounded like something I didn't want to do. But she really pursued and pushed me in to go check it out. And here we are 34 years later, still in the jewelry business. So yeah, Trudy Izzo was her name. And she was, she's still, I think, a guardian angel somewhat to me.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Where was your first store? Where'd you work first?
Well, I got hired by the chains right after I went to school for jewelry design and fabrication. So I learned how to size a ring. So I'm a bench jeweler to start with. I like working with my hands. I like figuring things out. So I really like the most difficult repairs that most people hate. I like those because it was a challenge. It's an everyday challenge that's different. So after going to school for that, I started working at some of the chain stores, fixing that stuff, which is quite a challenge, as most people know, and then just progressed from there.
What inspired you to start your own business? What was the spark that led you to take that leap?
Well, the place I was working at before opening my own store, the owner just treated everybody like I'd never wanted to be treated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
They did it. We had done a remodel, and he always liked to do everything under the books or under the radar, and he just always liked to do everything on the cheap. And they had a watchmaker at the time. He was 90 years old, been
Wow.
working for the family for like 50 years. And on the new blueprint, there was no place for his watch bench. And I said, "Well, where are we going to put the watchmaker?" And, "Well, he's too old, but we're not going to have a place for him." And I just thought, I mean, that was gut wrenching to me to say, to do that to anybody who still wanted to come in and it was a social thing for him, but he still fixed watches, which was a dying trade. And he never told them. I had to be the person that told them that, we're bringing your bench home until the remodel's over. And then when the remodel's over, I was the one that was, stuck telling this man, "Yeah, we didn't make room for you." And I just thought, that's just a shitty thing to do to anybody. And the writing was on the wall. I was going to be that person at some age where they're just going to push you out the door. And I figured, if I'm going to fail, I want it to be on my terms and my time. So I think it's time for me to do my own thing.
Yeah, that's pretty weak sauce.
Yeah.
Well, what are two questions here? What are the common misconceptions about running a business and owning a business? What are the common misconceptions about the jewelry business?
Oh, we'll start with running the business. Everyone sees the fruits, but they never saw me in the field plowing all those years. And they never saw me picking stones all those years. And, working 6 or 7 days a week and missing half my children's soccer games and dance classes and all that stuff. They just see it now. It must be nice. And I just shake my head and go, "Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
It is nice."
It's awesome.
I talking to the young people now, and they say, they had to work some overtime. They got 44 hours in, and I just shake my head. I go, "I've never worked, I can't imagine only working 44 hours, I love what I do now. So it's not taxing, but even when I was in the jewelry business, I always had a part-time job. I either worked at like a Menards or a bartender, or, I worked a second job just because it just made sense, so,
Yeah.
so yeah, most people have a misconception that it's just all must be nice. It must be nice. And it is at this point, but there was some, it's not easy when things go down. It's my personal checkbook that has to write the check for payroll. It's my line of credit off of my home that supports the store during COVID. It's all these things that people just have no concept,
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. The other, the misconception is that you have all this money too. The owners, you're the owner, you're the CEO, you have to be loaded.
Yeah. Right. That's funny. Right.
Yes.
And I think the biggest misconception in the jewelry business is the markup. If once a month, and I'm not on the floor much anymore, but once a month, I love that person that goes, "Oh, I know about the jewelry business. Your markup is the highest." I'm like, no, it's not. They walk here with a Starbucks, and I laugh. I'm like, that Starbucks coffee in your hand, that's got 3 times the markup. Furniture has a higher markup. The boat you drive. I mean, there's so many things that, the internet has obviously leveled the playing field, and so the markup just isn't there like it used to be. So that's a huge misconception that the public they just like to ride certain waves, I think, and that's the one that'll never go away.
Yeah. Would you say the internet has kind of taken away that markup ability?
Oh, absolutely, it has. I mean, that's a fact. Anyone who was around before the internet, the margins were phenomenal back then.
Yeah.
Your audience was relied on you to be the expert. Well, now every expert, you can go on the internet and get 200 experts. The great thing is 200 experts, they all have something different to say. So that kind of confuses the consumer, which is not a great thing either.
No.
I'm not saying ever lie, but the reality is the margins are considerably different. And, it seems like they get a little thinner every year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, when you talked about how when you were working in the jewelry store, you worked in a bar, you worked at Menards. So this might not be the perfect question for you, but if you did maintain a work-life balance, how would you do it? Or do you maintain a work-life balance?
Well, you have to get to a point of what is the end goal? I've had some really good advisors, and they all had one thing in common. It's like, what is our goal? What do you want from me? And I'm like, well, I want to grow this thing as big as we can, so that very soon I don't have to come into work every day. I want to retire really young. My goal is to retire at 50. I'm 52 now, and I don't ever see myself fully retiring, just because I think retirement is actually a state of mind. It's not actually a day, at least for me. I can retire whenever I want now.
Yeah.
But the reality is I don't want to. Now it's so much fun. I love coming in, but I have, if I want to go golfing in 10 minutes, I'm telling the staff bye, so
I'll meet you there.
What is the end goal, I guess, would be the question. And then you got to work to it. You can't work 30 hours a week starting off and think that you're going to build something, and it's just unrealistic. But whatever the goal is, whether it's money or time off, then work towards it. It seems like this business, there's a lot of control freaks. The different advisory, different boards I sit on, and, we talk to these owners that have had the store for 50 years and they're still doing 60 hours a week. And they don't trust anyone to buy diamonds. They don't trust anyone to take in repairs because everyone's going to do it wrong. I'm like, well, clearly you're the problem in your store.
Yes.
You have to trust your people, empower them to make the mistakes, just like I make. I make them every day. But you got to trust them to do that for you, so that you don't have to be there every day.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's crazy how many people will just hang on and continue to work 60 hours, and you're going to burn out. There's no other way about it. There's no way around it.
Yeah. It's not healthy.
So, we've had some challenges in the past few years. How did COVID treat the jewelry business?
Well, everyone's got, a different story on COVID. For us, it was, super scary. We had just hired our new store manager. And so it was like, what do we do? And we're just trying to figure it out along with everyone else. And we put a big note on the door with my cell phone number, essentially. And every single day we had a phone call. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be home anyway. So after the first week, I just came in and put a note on the door and say, call me, I'm in the back. And almost every day we had customers. I'm like, well, if we're having customers come in for repairs, might as well put the shit in the case. And so we put the stuff in the case. Technically, we weren't supposed to be open, but technically, I had heard that they weren't going to do anything. The local police department had enough to do. They weren't going to police the BS, I guess. And so it hurt the business, sure did. But with the money given from the government, the staff all got paid. It was fine. It was fine. We came out of it. It has just been gangbusters ever since.
Beautiful. Love it. Love to hear it. So that was a big challenge, and you adapted to it. How do you adapt to the constantly evolving business landscape?
You just have to be educated. I spend a lot of time at the trade shows, not just buying merchandise, but talking to people. I mean, there's a lot of people you can get really good advice from, and there's a lot of people you get bad advice from. And so I like to talk to everybody to see what the true landscape is going on in our industry. And being in the Midwest, it's its own animal. A lot of times when the vendor comes in, they'll give me what's going on across the United States. I don't care. What happens on the East Coast or the West Coast has nothing to do with the Midwest. And so talking to those people, really gives me perspective. And the perspective is we don't follow the typical trends or traits. When they say the sky is falling, I just shake my head and say, no, it's not. I'm choosing not to participate. I'm going to focus on what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to control only what I can control, and I don't worry about the rest of it. Because if you can't control it, why worry about it? And so that's been the theory of the store going forward, and it works just fine. The real estate market's going to crash, or this is going to crash, or the election's going to do this. Yep, great. We're gonna just push forward. We're going to take care of our customers. We're going to treat them like royalty every time they walk through the door, and the rest will take care of itself.
Perfect. People still got to get married. People still got to have a happy wife, happy life, and get them a ring.
Absolutely. And there's those people out there that, a jewelry is not something you need. It's not food. It's not water. So the people that buy a lot of jewelry tend to be the more wealthy people. The economy doesn't affect certain people. That's a fact. Now, they might buy less jewelry, but they're still going to do what they're going to do. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So let's talk about the future a little bit. Can you offer a glimpse into your future plans? Are you growing? Are you hiring? What's down the road for Bay Area Diamond Company?
Yeah, I have a very young executive crew. My sales manager and the office manager or director of sales and director of the store here, they want to grow. And so I think it's fun at this point. I don't do a lot of upfront sales anymore. I still go say hi to the customer and shake hands and stuff like that. So we're looking for our fourth location as we speak. It's got to be right. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be, everything that fits into our model. And so it's not just any place, but yeah, we're looking, and we're probably in the next 12 months going to have a fourth location. We're always hiring good people, really good people with personality. It's hard to find. And so we're always hiring here at Bay Area Diamond Company, or the store in Green Bay or Medford is actually Black River Diamond Company.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, we're always looking for good people.
Is Mundelein the Illinois River Diamond Company?
What's that?
Is Mundelein the Fox River Diamond Company?
No, it's not. It's actually Bay Area Diamond as well. We realized Medford was the second store, and we had to change lanes when we did the third store, because what we thought we were going to do and what makes more sense is keep them all the same name. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. I thought maybe you just pick Rivers right down the road from the store. That'd be perfect. But
yeah.
So, this has been awesome, man. And I really appreciate your time. I think a lot of people resonate with this. And, I do think the jewelry business is kind of like one of those, it's out there, we know what it is, but we don't know anything about it, but we know we need it.
Yeah.
If you were a 25-year-old you, what advice would you give to yourself? What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who are just starting that journey?
Again, think big, think really big, and then have a plan. The difference between an idea and a plan is put down on paper. An idea is something floating around in your head, and then have someone else look at that plan. And, I want to be a multi-billionaire by the time I'm 30. well, that's a great idea. But again, you put that on paper, and if you can't make it happen on paper, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to have a realistic plan, put it down on paper, and go after it. What can I do to better myself? The customers are number one. If you treat them like royalty, you have good staff that treats your customers fantastic. That's the biggest thing, and work hard. I made a lot of really good contacts with different vendors who have helped me out in the lean times when I needed stuff. And without those contacts, I wouldn't be here today. The vendors support you, but it's a partnership. So, I just get a plan and go after it, man. That's what I would say.
Do you have goals? Do you write down goals?
Absolutely. And I make both the executive team, they got to have goals too. Like, what are we going to do? Each store has a goal. Then the company as a whole has a goal. And we have our stretch goals too, because, it's good because I had an uncle once tell me, be careful what you wish for, because once you get it, then what?
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of in that situation. I mean, I just wanted a little repair shop. I could do repairs and sell some diamonds. Well, Bay Area Diamond Company in Green Bay is 6,500 square feet. I've got 3 stores. I'm like, this is well beyond what I ever dreamed. So if you don't have a stretch dream and you reach it, then what?
Yeah. Then where do you go? That's awesome. They did a study from Harvard grads, 1,000 Harvard grads, and they studied them over a 10, 20, and 30-year period. And the top 3% of the people that made the most money, the most successful people, were the 3% that wrote down their goals. And nobody else did. I mean, I write down my goals every day.
Right. It doesn't have to be, again, financial.
No.
Whether the goal is, hey, I want to go for at least a 2-mile walk today, or whatever it is, write that stuff down and then make it happen. Yep. I mean, I love checking off lists. I write down goals just so I can make that cross, but it's so important to do that. It's so important.
Well, the ultimate question then is, do you do the thing where you do the task that you already did, put it in your goals and check it off just so you can check it off?
Yes, I've done that. I try not to make that a habit, but there's sometimes in the morning, I have a pad of paper next to my bed, my nightstand. Yep. It's there because sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night like, oh, damn it, that's a great idea, and I'll write something down. But there is times where I put something down there, or I think I put it down there, and then I moved the pile of wood that I wanted to move or something. I'm like, oh, I never put it down on the list. Well, I am now.
Yep. Look what I achieved already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's something to that. It's self-rewarding. Yeah. To look at a list and go, I did well. And I'm not the type of person. I might put down 7 things, but I only crossed off 3 because I only did them. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I still did 3. It's not, I have to get this list done today. It's just things I have to get done. Yeah.
Yep. And you do get a dopamine hit when you click that checkbox. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're a happier man. Well, Brian, this has been awesome, man. Really appreciate your time. Any last words for the audience? Anything you want to tell? BayAreaDiamondCompany.com. Go check them out. If you're in Mundelein, go buy something. Anything you want to say, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, just the business it's a great business to be in. It's treated me very well over the years. I don't think it's going anywhere. There's a lot of naysayers out there. The market share is going to go somewhere, and I just keep scooping up more of it. So for those that are eager and willing to put in the time and listen to advisors, it's a great business to be in. And I'm glad my Aunt Trudy pushed me this way. I can tell you that.
Thank you, Aunt Trudy. We love you.
Yeah, absolutely. We do.
All right, man. Thanks. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. That wraps up our episode of Excellence Through Execution. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Brian, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.